Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you and you and you. It is another phenomenal day here in Elevation Moments Arena. We hope that you are ready for another day for you to walk into what you have purpose in your life to be elevated with. Because, my friends, elevated, not tolerated, means to rise above anything and everything that has held us down and has caused us to feel inadequate, and it's done so unpleasantly. But with you and I together, we rise above all of that because it's time for us to be empowered, embraced, and educated to be elevated and not tolerated. So we're glad we're back on today. We missed yesterday. We had some technical issues here, but we are glad that we have another day that we can come back and regroup and get ourselves on in another arena. It's time for us to move forward, push forward, and see what else God has in purpose for us to do. Right. And sometimes we just need a little push. Sometimes we need a little elevation. That's all I can tell you. And sometimes we need to connect with the right people, places, and things to get that done. And sometimes that means we gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep on pushing until. Can I tell you? Sometimes it's the best thing to keep pushing. Sometimes you got to do it alone. Sometimes you got to do it. Uh, um, in secret. Sometimes you just got to do it in so many different ways that I'm laughing because I think sometimes we get so bogged down into how we're going to make it and how is it going to work and when is it going to do it for us and when is somebody going to help us and all of those things. But sometimes it's just a purpose of you moving forward. It's a time and a season for all things is what the Bible says. And so when you find what that time and that season is for you, then it's time for you to keep on moving, baby. You got to keep on trucking is what the song used to say. So just keep on trucking until you get to the place that you need to be, right? Not everything is going to happen overnight. And if that's what you're expecting, then that's maybe part of the issue because nothing happens overnight. Everything has a process, everything has to be mapped out. And sometimes even when you're being spontaneous, it is a place where you have actually kind of seen what could happen in that arena if you allow yourself to just push to the next level, right? And I don't know about you, but sometimes the hardest thing is being able to say, I'm going to keep on moving, right? So today I want to go back and continue our conversation about boundaries and how and setting and intentions and how that all kind of plays out in the arena of positive self building for ourselves because I truly believe as a part of and y'all bear with me because I just finished talking on another Zoom about this about our programs with Elegant Elevations and Elevated Not Tolerated and the Elevated Not Tolerated Academy. We had just completed some conversations with that this morning with some other groups. And so, so our throat's a little bit chopped up a little bit, but that's all good because we got the hot tea. But one thing that we tend to forget about is those opportunities for us to build a positive personal development area for ourselves. And as you know, we do have the upcoming Masterclass on October the 30th, next Monday night at 7 o'clock. We're going to be talking about, unleashing and elevating that authentic you, our authentic self. We want to be able to unleash it. We want to be able to allow people to see the real us no matter what, right? And sometimes people, places, and things can't handle that, right? So you say, well, how can I be a part of it? Well, we put the link into the group just now so that you'll be able to click on that link. That's for the Monday night class. We will have an encore class on Saturday at 12 o'clock. So if you're unable to attend on Monday night, you can roll on over to Sunday, November the 4th, and we're going to do the same thing on Saturday, November the 4th. Now, if you desire to up that packet, because the packet is now $35, if you want to up that packet and you want to go ahead and get your coaching session included, go ahead, choose which day you want to do it, but take that that third option on the page and do your 1 hour or your hour and 30-minute motivational coaching session with me. Somebody reached out to me the other day and said, well, sometimes I say you get a little hesitant. Well, I have seasonal allergies, so let me just put that out there. And I am a COVID long haul, so sometimes my little nasal packages don't like to cooperate with the process. But anywho, there are 3 options for you to join the class. The first 2 options are $35. One option is for Monday night and the other option is for Sunday. The third option is if you choose to have a 90-minute coaching session with me directly, just me and you against the world, then there's a third package out there that you can also purchase, and that's $136 that you can go ahead and purchase as well. Because I believe if we're in this process and we're ready to really move forward, we got to do what we got to do. Sometimes you got to do it in right behind the scenes. You got to do it when nobody else sees you. You got to do it when you're in the office, when you're out of the office. Sometimes you just got to choose the appropriate time and the appropriate person that's going to help you get to that next level, right? And so if you haven't registered, you can do so. And just in case you're wondering how and what it looks like, because sometimes we are visual people, we just want to see something so we know that we're on the right page. Here is a little information that will help you get to that place. All right, there you have it. If you see that flyer floating on my pages or any of my social media, that's your indication that that's where you need to go ahead and register for the masterclass. And we want to be able to see you be a part of unleashing and elevating your authentic self. So let's get out there and let's do the thing. It's going to be a fun hour and a half with me on those 2 days. I promise you, you're going to find out some things and you're going to laugh in the process. So don't hesitate. Join us and be a part of the master class. And we will have another master class that will be coming up next month. You don't want to miss that as well. We're also getting ready to start doing our promotions for, we have a class, what I call a call to action opportunity for those individuals who are interested in getting into the coaching field. Those of you that are interested in being a life coach and being certified as a life coach. Before you jump into it, there's some things that you probably need to know, and you probably want to make sure that you understand before you get into that process. And so we have a 30-minute session that's set aside for us on November the 11th at 12 o'clock. Please be there, be square. You do have to register for the event. We will be taking some information that you can prepare yourself if you're interested, because there's a lot of people out there that are looking for you. They need you to come into their life and help them get to that next level, right? So make sure you go out there and you register for the call to action, meaning, are you ready to be a life coach? Go out there and see that flyer and register today for that as well. Now, let's get into the conversation. Let's get into the conversation about these boundaries and being intentional. Okay, so you may hear some of this as a repeat in the masterclass. Excuse me, but I think it's very important that we share it and that we understand it, right? Sharing, caring, liking, understanding it is all important for us, right? You got to understand that sometimes one of the things that you got to remember is that not everybody's going to agree with it. When you set boundaries, not everybody's going to agree with it, and that's intentional. Could I be honest with you? You have to intentionally understand that there's a lot of people who are not going to go along with it. That they're not going to believe or understand or want to even believe that you're going to go to those limits to get to take care of you. Because when you got to understand is when you're setting boundaries, that's protecting you. That's protecting your sanity. That's protecting your peace. Because if you allow yourself to continue day in and day out, if you continue to do this day in and day out, what will happen is you will lose your space of peace. And we don't want you to lose that space of peace, because at the end of the day, it's up to you to have peace for yourself. Nobody's going to do that for you. And that's an intentional move to have peace for yourself. I want you to be able to understand how important that being in a peaceful place causes other things to happen to you. So when I tell you that at the end of the day, I understand that when we're setting these boundaries, that sometimes people don't think it is going to it's going to change things, right? But when I tell you, when you set boundaries, it does change things. So when I tell you that you have to be so intentional and understand that it doesn't stop, and sometimes even people, sometimes you have to make people understand that there's a certain time of day that you do certain things. There's a certain places and things that you have to do. You have to be that person, right? You have to state that so that everyone understands it. Those people that you come in contact with. So when I tell you that sometimes it is not a pleasurable place to be able to say, look, this is what I'm going to do and this is how it's going to be. I don't need any additional information. It is what it is. It is how it's supposed to be. When I tell you that at the end of the day, most of us are seeking people, places, and things that can validate us. That's not going to happen. That's one of the things we're definitely going to be talking about in unleashing and elevating ourselves, our authentic selves. You can no longer expect people to validate you if you're not able to validate yourself. What you do, what you accomplish, and how you accomplish it is based on the boundaries that you set and the process that you have set down that you're going to do. Intentions mean you already know what you have, an idea of the expectation of the outcome that you want to have, right? So when you have that intention is already in place, what you as an individual have to do now is be able to process the boundaries that's going to keep you in tune to what you desire. Sometimes that means that you have to do what we call the 3S theory that you'll learn more about when we're in the Masterclass on Monday, or if you attend one of my positive self-building classes. It is important that you understand that there's a theory behind the method of why you set intentions. Intentions will cause us to have a moment where we can actually see things clearly. The old song says, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Why is that? Because there's nothing that's standing in your way that's keeping you from being focused on the people, places, and things that is important to you. Your peace should be an intentional move for you to be able to set boundaries. Your peace is a place where you should set positive boundaries intentionally. Let me say this in another way. Your sanity, your peace, the quietness in the head should be intentionally a reason to set boundaries. I posted my schedule for this week. There's a reason, because I want my peace to be in a certain place at a certain time that's not going to be interrupted. Doesn't matter what you want, doesn't matter what you think, if my peace is interrupted. So in order for my peace not to be interrupted, I have to set boundaries. And I have to set boundaries that are intentional because of my peace. Are you wondering why you can't have peace in this journey right now in your life? It's because you have not intentionally set boundaries. And I mean positive boundaries, those boundaries that can change and alter the next direction that you follow in for your destiny. The reason why some of us are still stuck is because we waited too long to set realistic boundaries. Sometimes we call it the SMART plan. I'm telling you, it's boundaries. Setting positive, active boundaries will force and activate your peace button. Not everybody's going to go along with you on that. Not everybody understands your purpose. Not every person understands why you are doing what you're doing. But when you understand your true self-worth, when you understand your true self-peace, when you understand your true, when you understand that, that's when you know that you can live by your boundaries. I have some boundaries that sometimes people tend to think that they don't exist, but they do. I don't have time in my day for just idle conversations if it's not being positive to help me. We all have moments where we vent, but setting boundaries to how people react to your venting is intentional. Can I say that once again? I feel like I feel like walking because that's what I do when I'm training. And when I'm preaching and teaching, I like to walk, but it's kind of hard to walk when you're in an atmosphere like this. But when I tell you that when you are intentional about setting your boundaries and making sure that people understand why you're setting those boundaries, I can promise you that it will engage you in other areas that you have no idea. It is important that when you begin to see how important setting true value is. Good morning, Miss K. When you set intentional boundaries. Good morning, Mike. When you set those things, you are creating a place that's going to protect your peace. If your peace is disrupted, it's because we have allowed it. I know. Some of you that they'll watch now, may watch later, will say, wait a minute, Miss Victoria, boundaries ain't got nothing to do with my peace. Yes, it does. Because in the midnight hour, late in the midnight hour, God is trying to turn it around. And your midnight hour may be during your boundary intentional set time. If you haven't set boundaries, then anybody can interrupt those moments. Do you need those moments interrupted? No, you do not. When you set boundaries, it's because you have a place that you are getting to. When you set boundaries and you intentional on following them through, that means that you are at a place where you are ready for your button of activating your peace is in place. The reason why some of us are still not thankful on Thursday or any other day is because we have not sat down and said, the boundaries are in place for a reason. There's a reason why we have business hours. That's effective self-care. As an entrepreneur, my business hours may not be your business hours. But when I establish them and state these are the hours, then that's what you need to look at. Those are the times. Because anything outside of that is interrupting my peace. Are you allowing people, places, and things to disrupt you because you have not set timely boundaries about your peace? Because anytime that you can be interrupted out of what your flow is, that means you're interrupting my peace. Like for instance, see, I'm getting hyped. For instance, when I am creating content for my class and I have a set number of hours of a day that I'm going to spend on it, and if my phone is continuously coming with stuff that has nothing to do with nothing. That's interrupting my peace. It's interrupting my flow. It's funny, my Fitbit is popping, so I know my blood pressure is popping. Why? Because this is a place that I find most disrespectful, when people cannot respect your peace. Stop worrying about if they're going to. Put something, boundary in place that they have to. Don't worry if they're not going to like it. Be intentional of thinking about what is going to prosper you, what is going to bless you, what is going to cause a positive change in you. Setting boundaries. Saying no when you would typically say yes. Setting boundaries. Setting someone's expectations before they even get into the whole mix with you. Be intentional. Stop allowing the circumstances around us to cause us to lose the peace. We get on jobs. I'm not working a public job right now. Thank God, to God be the glory, because God is he's moving some things in my life. You may not understand it. I had an interview first thing this morning, and guess what? If I get offered the position, I'm going to set boundaries around everything else to make sure I include that. However, I set the expectations during the interview. See, this is the thing. You get to learn how to control some things. And my students would tell you that if you are a part of my positive self-building class, control means those things which you have overcome. You can't control something that you ain't overcome, baby. Controlling your peace means that it has been disrupted, and now you have set boundaries so that it will not have the same effect in the future. We have to understand that it's time for us to set effective boundaries so that we continue our peace. I don't know who I'm talking to. You may be watching now, or you may be watching later. But if you have not set boundaries with full intentions to stick by it, then baby, you look, where is Sylvia Kuntz? Dr. Sylvia Kuntz, I need her in the house. Baby, let me tell you, if you have set boundaries and you're not sticking to them, then you might as well not have done it, because you've increased, you have it made a place for your boundaries and your peace to be disrupted again. I'm a time person. If I say I'm gonna do something at 9:30, I ain't got time. I ain't got look, Lucy. I ain't got time to keep waiting. Why? Because everybody has things that happen in their life. Every day is a place where we may lose some things, my friends. Every day, timing is everything. A former apostle I was under said it, and I got, I might not agree with that joke on everything else, but one thing I can agree about on this, that everything that God has planned in your life has a purpose, and it has a time. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're going. Hey, Deborah, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care who you're talking to. But if they don't respect your times, then they're not respecting your boundaries. Baby, hunty, my other friend, he says, hunty, honey, let me tell you something. If I want to make sure that I'm going to get something done, I set a time to it. My students would tell you class starts at 8:45. They better be in class at 8:45. No, I give you grace. One of my students in my class right now says, "Can I give grace and mercy?" Well, I ain't God, but I can act on it. This is the thing. I can give you some time because life happens. But this is the thing. Do you prepare yourself in advance? And how do you prepare yourself? By setting boundaries. We all know that the technology is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs all the time. We understand that. Sometimes you got to prepare for that, right? I wasn't prepared for the indiscrepancies of yesterday. Maybe it's because I needed to teach you today, right? But when you are prepared by setting boundaries, then you have an intention. When something happens, you have an intention, right? People, places, and things happen all day long, baby. But if you ain't set nothing in place for it to mean something, then can I be honest with you? That's the reason why you're going to get walked over. Because when you don't set boundaries, you're opening the door. Say, come on in and distract me. Come on in and disrupt my peace. Come on in and disrupt my schedule. Come on, baby. You may be in the fourth quarter of this year, but it ain't too late for you to set some boundaries and live by them. We as individuals have got to learn how important that is for us to transition to a place of excellence. If you're not setting boundaries, and my question to you is, are you really ready for excellence? Because they go hand in hand. If you're not setting effective boundaries, can I be honest with you? You ain't ready. You ain't ready for your peace to get into position. See, this is the thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care what place you're going. I don't care what avenue you're traveling in right now. My daddy taught me a long time ago, and as a young lady, I didn't understand it because it didn't make sense. But as a child of a pastor and a traveling evangelist elder, daddy would have appointments, and daddy would say, "We got to leave." If the appointment was at 3:00, they said, "We got to be ready to leave by 2:00." And you'd be like, "Why, daddy?" Especially when the church is right there in the street. Well, we got to leave at 2:00 because you never want to be late. You always want to be early for what you have set in place to receive. I'm sorry. Some of us have gone to the max of being on time for certain things, but we're not on time for all things. No, we're not. Deborah, I think he got that from my dad, because my dad has been preaching and teaching that for years, and I'm glad some of his extended families are teaching the same thing, because dad had been teaching that for years. He started off teaching that. Be on time for the goodness of God. Be on the time. See, this is the thing. If you have not set boundaries, there's no way that you're going to keep up with your time. Now, we all get off. We all have a moment. We all slip. But intentionally having boundaries, intentionally having a time for all things, what does that look like? I'm glad you asked. When you're setting intentional boundaries, even if it's about getting to a place on time, when you do that, you're respecting yourself. You're respecting that inner person on the inside of you that says, guess what? I take authority over my pace. I'm gonna go there until, look, I got about 8 minutes. So God puts me on a time frame now, because y'all ain't killing me. Look, this is the thing. When you set that precedence, intentionally letting people know, this is my schedule. This is what I do. This is when you can find me. This is how you can locate me. See, I've even gone to this part of the river. I've said, if you need me and it's business, make sure you go out there and you set yourself up for a booking. Schedule some time with me. Don't think that I'm available 24 hours a day. Baby, I might look cute and all of that, but when we are in a place, hey, Miss Rachel, thanks for joining, my friend, my sister, I love you. Amazing young lady. When I tell you how important it is to your business, to your social, because, baby, if you don't set some intentional boundaries in your social life, let me just warn you. Can I just warn you? Can I tell you, hey, Deborah, Miss Deborah K's out there with us too. Thanks for joining. When I tell you that it is important that when you get into that arena, some things will allow you opportunities. when you put some things in order, when you be intentional, when you set the boundary, when you set the rules. But if you setting rules and boundaries and you ain't following them, you're not being intentional. Don't tell me if I'm your coach and I give you an assignment. If I give you an assignment as a coach and I say to you, you're trying to work on your personal development. Love you too, Rachel, 100%. When I tell you, when we as coaches are, and this is one of the things that I'm going to teach coaches, when you are working with a client, it's not your job to tell them what to do. Your job is to help lead them to where they want to get to. Now, when you lead them, they have to make intentional goals that they're going to keep. This is the thing. The first thing to me, look, I'm stuck on this today. The first thing to me is making sure you respect somebody else's time. It's intentional, right? If I'm going to unleash my authentic me on Monday night in that class, baby. Let me tell you, I got a meeting before that session, but guess what? It is a meeting to help prepare me. Have you ever saw a boxer getting ready to go into the ring? His coaches is talking to him. His coach is getting him prepared. But what the coach is doing is allowing the opportunity for everything else to be moved outside the gates and get that boxer prepared. Are you prepared? Well, in order for you to be prepared, you got to be intentional with your boundaries. Stick to your game. You can't mess around with your boundaries and expect everybody else to follow them if you ain't following them. I have to push myself some days when I say, okay, I'm not taking any calls today. And I end up taking a call to last, because I do it, because I believe in helping people. There's one thing I will tell you. I don't mind breaking my rules because Okay. Everybody write this down. This is a free coaching one-on-one about time management. Y'all ready to write this down? Write this down. If you are setting up your schedule, and if you ain't got one, baby, you better come to my class on Monday night or either Saturday, because we're going to talk about this too, right? This is the thing. If you don't have a schedule, get a schedule. Rule number 1. Get a schedule. I know some of y'all don't want to hear that. Get a schedule. Because if you get a, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to get something that you know you're going to stick to. My students know me that if I tell you, if you write it in ink, it will stick to your glue. It will stick to you like glue when you put something in ink. Because guess what? I know that there's some ink erasers and all of that good stuff. But baby, I'm telling you. Thank you, Deborah. I'm glad to hear that. See, this is the thing. When you got something to do, when you got a purpose and you're going to get to that purpose, the best thing for your happy behind to do is make sure that you got a schedule. Everybody write that down. Somebody put that in a comment and say hashtag get a schedule. Look, put it as a hashtag. That way you remember, because I don't know what it is about hashtags that people tend to remember that. Look, hashtag get a schedule. Hashtag get a schedule. Okay, once you get that schedule, I'm giving y'all a free coaching moment. Y'all better write this down because it ain't gonna happen too much more. You got to come to the class. Once you get the schedule, determine what your time boundary is. If your business hours are 8 to 5, just check me. Mic check. Mic. Wait, where my mic at? Wait a minute. Where my mic at? Mic check. Determine what your time is. If you have an office, a business hour, you're working public jobs, they say your hours is whatever, 9 to 5, right? And they give you a 30-minute lunch break. Then your scheduled time is 9 to 5. Entrepreneurs get a time. Mm-hmm. I love how these apps are allowing you to be able to set your business hours sporadically, right? Set a time, get a schedule, set a time. This is the thing. If you're gonna work your business and you say my business is this, my office hours is 9 to 5. Then guess what? That's the only time I'm taking business calls is from 9 to 5. Now that you have that, you determine what your time boundary is. You determine what that time is. Now I want you to go deeper into that and say from 9 to 11 is this stuff happening. Now for me, don't y'all laugh at me. My time, my schedule kind of fluctuates depending on how Victoria operates, right? But this is the thing. Let's say my hours are from 7, because some of y'all are gonna see that I'm gonna have some availability early in the wee mornings for a while because I'm branching, right? So you may set up your coaching session to be at 7 a.m. Well, okay. 6 a.m. You may set your coaching session up at 6 a.m. because you got to get the babies on the bus by 7. Check this out. At 5 o'clock, from 5 to 5:30, I'm making preparation for what I got to do at 6. So you have to start doing a block time, right? And I'm not going to go into any more details with that because that's something that I do in a coaching session, and baby, that cost. Because I sit down and I actually help you map out your session. I help you map out your schedule. It's important because that is one of the steps of boundary setting, babies. You little babies out there, that's one of the ways we start setting our boundaries. We set it up. You want more information on how to do that, I can schedule you a session. I will put my scheduler into the comment section. You can book sometimes with me as soon as possible, because if you don't have a boundary schedule set, you ain't ready. You ain't ready to move. The second thing that I want you to understand about boundaries, when I say get a schedule, you have to be intentional, right? So in your schedule, and I'm sorry, I went to another place. When you set the schedule, you always give yourself a 30, 45-minute wiggle time. Write that down. Give yourself some wiggle time, right? So you're going to determine your boundaries, and then you're going to give yourself some wiggle time, right? I give everybody 15 minutes. I give you up to 15 minutes if you're late. I start counting at 10, but I'm telling you, I tend to give you 15 minutes, but I start clocking at 10. So when people book a schedule with me, thanks, Kay. Says Casey's book now. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate it. See, this is the thing. When most of the time people are making schedules, they don't anticipate something happen out of the norm. I do. And you should as well as an entrepreneur. You should anticipate that there may be sometimes that things happen out of the norm. So what you need to do is have some wiggle time. Put that in, you've determined your boundary times. Now I want you to put down wiggle time. And you're going to set how much wiggle time you're going to give. Somebody say, what, coach? I gotta put that in there too. Yep. Give yourself at least 30 to 45 minutes of wiggle time. Now, this is the thing, y'all. Don't get it twisted. This is the thing. You're setting wiggle time, but that don't mean everybody gets 30 or 40 minutes. No. What that means in an 8-hour period. I'm teaching y'all now. If y'all ain't listening, that's on you. I'm just telling you. I'm giving you the information right now, right? So this is the thing. If you are putting 45 minutes in your wiggle time of the day, then that means throughout 1 or 2 sessions or what have you, you may be able to give somebody an extra 10 minutes. You may be able to give an extra 5 or 10 minutes into an avenue, right? But if you don't have that already scheduled in there with you, hey, Tony Tilda is in the house, Coach Tony in here. He gonna show us some Taekwondo. You know I can't say it, Tony, whatever. He gonna give you some real martial arts training. That's what I'm gonna put it in there. Okay. All right. So this is the thing. If you have not put in some wiggle time for people to be able to, kind of fluctuate a little bit and see, because I know Master Teal is a grandmaster and he teaches discipline. Tony, I'm trying to learn from you on a different level. I'm trying to help people understand discipline, right? Tony, I just smile. Check it out. This is the reason why, because again, everybody has a life and sometimes life happens. So you incorporate a 45-minute wiggle time into your schedule. Let's say you and I have a session. I just put in how you can reach me, how you can book your session. When you are contacting me and you say, Ms. Victoria, look, I had something that happened unexplained, unscheduled. I want to just tell you that I'm going to be about 10, 15 minutes late. Okay, well, if I haven't used 10 or 15 minutes, then I'm going to use your 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to wiggle my 10 or 15 to be your 10 or 15. And that's why your grace comes in, right? Sometimes people call me and they say, look, Miss Victoria, I can't be on time. My boss told me I had to stay later. No problem. I don't, I've got a client. I had a client last night. I said, you're not counseling. Why? Because it's important that you set those boundaries. Okay. So those are two things that you can look forward to when you are setting boundaries intentionally, right? Not everybody can do that. I can teach you how. Book a session and book a 30-minute session with me and I'll show you how to do it. But that does come with a cost. Okay. Now, this is the thing. I need you to understand that it is important that your boundaries are intentionally set for your peace. If you don't have peace in what you're doing, then it's not going to make sense. You have to tell people, this is my business hours and this is what I do. Now, what I'll tell you will happen later today. I'll come back and I'll do, I'll give you guys an update on how to make sure that you are setting intentional boundaries for your schedule. It's your peace that I'm working with, y'all. As a part of personal development, I got to get to the tap root of what's causing you not to have peace. All right, guys, look. I just my time frame. All right, we start at 9:30 for these morning elevation moments, and it's past my time. I don't like to go past 30 minutes. I want to keep it to a minimum because anything that I give you, you can contact me and we will help you get to it in another area with coaching sessions. It's important that you understand how important it is, y'all. I want you to be great in what you do. I want you to be great in who you are. And the first thing is setting those positive, intentional boundaries. Intentional boundaries. Talk to you later too, Tony. Love you, man. Yes, because it is important. It's important for us to set those positive, intentional boundaries. If you don't know how to do it, give a girl a call and we'll hook you up. Look, it's time for you. If you are watching this live right now or you're watching it later, it's time for you to set some realistic boundaries and do it intentionally. Because your peace is calling you. Your peace is knocking at the door. Your peace is saying, baby. Somebody call Sylvia Coons and tell her I'm saying it. Baby, be intentional for your peace. Hashtag this. My peace is on alert. My peace is on alert. Hashtag it. My peace is on alert. My peace is on alert. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, baby, where are you going to requires all of your time to be at peace? All of it. Every second of it requires your peace. All right, guys, I got to head it out. I got some things to do because, look, I'm getting paid. I do not intend to get past my schedule on today because, I got some things this old girl got to do. Make sure you share, and like this video. Make sure you share it with people, places, and things that are going to be able to be empowered and inspired by it. Because this is the thing. I want you to be able to attend the masterclass on Monday night or Saturday afternoon. It's only $35 unless you get the VIP package. If you get the VIP package, that VIP package is $136, and that's because you get a 90-minute coaching session with me. You get my attention for 90 minutes. How many parents would love to tell their kids you only get 90 minutes of my attention? I don't know about you. It doesn't change when they get past the age of 20 either. They still are attention getters. But at the same token, I want you to be able to come back and be with us. I'm losing the voice. I got things to do, y'all. But check this out. I'm going to show you this little piece of a video, and I want you to be able to join us at the masterclass. So we want you to be able to join us at the masterclass. Oh, sorry, y'all. I was getting into my own groove. Y'all know how I do. All right, guys. So it's been my pleasure again. Remember, it's some time. You got to get that hashtag. Got to get a schedule, and hashtag my peace is on alert. My peace is on alert. My peace. Woohoo! My peace is on alert. Because guess what? I want you to understand that it's time for you to be empowered, embraced, and educated, to be elevated and not tolerated. And guess what? We'll see you real soon.